All right, let's start it up. We are back with more Deceive Inc. here today. Let's get a couple things out of the way here. First, though, you probably hear I do sound different. I'm doing my best. But my old headset, and I was recording on just a headset before, and I still am again. It died totally, so this is a new one, and I'm trying to get the audio to sound as good as possible on this. So we might have to put up with this for a little bit. I know right now there's might be extra background noise I'm having some difficulty removing, but hopefully other than that everything's okay. I think I got it, but I really wanted to get this video out because it's pretty important. As you can see, we're back on patch notes, but before we really get into this, one more important thing is because we got patch notes, we also got patch date confirmation. So I can now also say that I'm going to do a stream on this coming Friday. That'll be March 1st, noon Eastern time, which is the time my usual videos come out. So that'll be like 24 hours from the time this video comes out. There'll be a video that day too, letting you know that I'll be live, and there'll be video as well. So anyway, now let's get into the patch because this is going to be long. We did cover a bunch of it in the deep dives already. I did go through those. All those deep dives are in here. I did go through, not with like the finest tooth comb, but I did some skimming to make sure I didn't change anything obvious. So we're going to do a couple stops on the way of things that changed from that deep dive video they added. So there's that. And then there's balance changes, which will be hopefully the main course of this here video. So let's get right into it. First up, look at this art. Oh my gosh, this is great. I don't know if I can legally steal it for video thumbnails, but I wish I could. But it's really good. Anyway, moving on. Operation Overhaul, pretty much nothing new in here. We already talked about vault printers, first aid dispensers, combat overhaul, animations. They do a little, basically not much more in the damage fall off section, but they do stress here that it does affect, literally they went through for all of these combat things, it affects every single weapon. They touched every single weapon in the game currently. So if you thought maybe your favorite wasn't going to get affected, everything got touched. It's all the same. And here we go. First stop, aim punch tone down. This wasn't in the deep dives, but aim punching is when you get shot and like your crosshair jumps. I don't know why I scrolled up to that. That's not even a relevant GIF. But aim punch is when you receive damage and it throws your aim off. They turned that way down. And then they made it smoother, and then taking damage from the front is half as much as damage from the other direction. So if you're facing, face off someone, it should be a lot smoother there. So that's really good. And then we did the ping system, we did the guard behavior, we did map updates, and I haven't seen anything new here from our deep dives. So check that video out if you didn't see that and you want to know my thoughts on all these things. Keep scrolling. Here we go. New stuff. Player spawn updates. They updated them. They're always updating them, but they call it out specifically. And they implemented feature specific team modes. Duos and trios are going to have slightly different spawns than solos, or probably than each other as well. So that's really good on their back end. We know they can do spawn updates without actually like updating the game. So this will help them make that better in general. All right, that was in. That was all in. Improved input mapping wasn't in. You can remap move and view rotation input, as well as your drone's up and down button. Little controller better stuff there. This is big, even though it's literally a sentence. You can now adjust your reticle. You can make it bigger or smaller, and you can change the color. So mine will probably change. As much as I like the semi-transparent white circle, it'll probably get a little change. Spawn logic changes. Again, spawning changes. Spawns to restricted areas, multiple rooms, considered single rooms. Yeah, so this is more spread of key codes. So previously, if like green rooms on Fragrant Shore, the top floor and the bottom floor would be different rooms in like the game code to spawn key codes. So you could spawn like a blue key code in each of those floors, because the game thought the part of the game in charge of spawning key codes thought those were different green rooms. Now they've unified that, so it should be spread out better. You shouldn't see a bunch of stuff all in one multi-level green room. And again, they call it green rooms in Fragrant Shore specifically, but again, it'll affect guard rooms, and there is, I guess, some multi-level purple rooms. I can think of at least one on hard cell. Well, yeah, in phase 1. Anyway, moving on. Vault blue key codes. There's now going to be some number of blue key codes in the vault. So if you missed the blue key code in phase 1, you might get it in phase 2 or 3. Spy bots. They did change one little thing. It's this part here. The spots will now be spread through the matchmaking experience. In the deep dive, it did call out specifically solos only for phase 1. It no longer says solos only in this part. So that to me means it's probably no longer solos only. That's now through all, spread through the whole matchmaking experience, as they say here. So you'll see them in your duos and your trios game is what I'm reading this as. Again, not sure if that's true or not, but they did remove the call out of specifically solos. All right, new stuff here. We're getting to all the new stuff. New cosmetics. This is really awesome. New inks, new poses, of course, but some of them are added to briefcase pools, which are the usual. And then credits, and then there is a new Madam intro pose that's added to the store. Also, Red and Gilbert here. This pig's named Gilbert because that's what the file's called, Red and Gilbert. All right, now balance changes. This is where all the stuff is. We're gonna be here probably a while. Damage fall off. All right, this might be where we're getting the more info of damage fall off. Also, this part down here I didn't read, so this will be a live reaction. I'm gonna be reading along with you. So yeah, so there was no fall off, and now there's less recoil and more fall off. There we go. Resistant, so that's the status effect that Chavez expertise 2 and red passive 1 give you, but notably not Squire passive 3 doesn't give you the status effect. It's a different thing for whatever reason. So it no longer is 40% damage reduction down to 25% damage reduction. So just a huge nerf to that. Probably needed it, let's be honest. The slow used to slow you by 40%, now it slows you by 30%. Not a, that's playing Ace a lot with the slow. Yeah, that probably is needed, but it's gonna throw off my Ace aim because I was used to people getting slowed by 40%. So we'll see. Melee aim assist adjust. This feels like a weird spot for this. I'm not gonna lie. Why wouldn't you put it with the aim assist stuff? But we reduce the amount of stickiness you would feel from launching a melee attack on a target. This should lead to a less jarring snap to correctly slightly off melee, make the melee feel more fluid. So melee is gonna feel better, along with the up top, the player collision thing they added should make huge changes to melee. All right, team revival. When you get revived, they're giving you slightly more HP, so now you have 85, 70, and 55 with the same amount. So same amount of revives in total, just more HP for each revive. I don't really play teams, so hopefully that helps you guys who play teams win more, I guess. This is really nice. I'm not really asking for this, but having to do the math. This is really nice. Basically, they just updated the UI. Instead of saying the headshot was like a 2x multiplier, they just did the math for you and told you what the number was, which is significantly clearer. I didn't want to have to pull out my calculator every time to figure out what the headshot damage was. Now I don't have to. All right, agent balance. Ace, this is probably going to be a huge section, but let's do it. All right. Ace has been a big subject of discussion. Blah, 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 blah. Passive charge time is now weapon driven. I actually think that's a good thing. I don't know if I said it in a previous video. I think I did, but this is something I was interested in them exploring, and I'm glad they are. So a charge shot is going to take a different amount of time to charge based on what gun you're holding, which I think is a really good thing. So the Queen of Diamond here got no change except the charge time went up to a full second, so that's kind of back to how it was before. A second's still not that long. but definitely, you know, basically 3 times as long as that. Snipers have no damage fall off from the looks of things. Oh yeah, snipers have no damage fall off because the Jack of Diamond is not a sniper. It has a, you know, they upped the charge time a little bit, but they did give it some damage fall off at 20 meters. They don't really say how much. I kind of wish they did, you know, say 10% at 20 or whatever, or falls off to 0 over like 80 meters past that or something. I don't know if you, yeah. King of Diamond, damage down by 1, headshot damage down by 2, reload time down though, so that's probably overall this is a buff. I don't know if the 1 or 2 damage here is gonna make a huge change unless we get our calculator out and we calculate passive bonus damage. Maybe these numbers change something, but I doubt it. And the passive charge takes the longest on the big gun. No damage fall off, makes sense. And we're significantly toning down the duration of these passives. So we already talked about the charge time changes for each weapon. Your exposed is down to 6 seconds instead of a whopping 20 seconds. I know not a ton of people use this, but 20 seconds was an infinitely long time, and 6 seconds is probably maybe even still too long. But slow down from 7 to 3, probably fine. You know, you just want to line, you just got to hit them a second time to reapply the slow. And then neutralize from 12 seconds to 4 is, I guess, same idea with the slow. If you hit him a second time, it doesn't really matter, but that's not a lot of time for someone to be neutralized. A Larson could definitely poof away if they get behind some cover there. Cavalier, here we go. Weapon adjustments for Cavalier centered on making an arsenal fit better with the new damage fall off. All right, so her base weapon, fire faster, less of a mag, reload faster, and fall off at 15 meters. I'm not really gonna have a lot to say about these fall off ones because we've never experienced fall off in the game yet, and judging what like that's gonna feel like is kind of impossible at this point. So at this point, this looks like an overall buff. Reload time down, shots per second up, less bullets per mag, but probably okay. And just get within 15 meters, get within 20 meters, get within 10 meters on the wyverns, which I feel like if you lead with the kick, you're probably pretty good. So be interesting to see how this plays out. These ones being the sort of sniper pistols are I jump cut there because I hit a random button and went to a random web page by accident, but we're just continuing on as if nothing happened. Passives, delay, but this counts as a passive. Hang on, delay before shooting after melee. So if you, okay, so you can't, it takes you a little longer to start shooting after you melee someone now. Bit more impulse so that Cavalier can travel further with this skill fully charged, so you can go a little further with this. I don't know if that's gonna push it into really usable territory. It still just seems like a get around out of cover quick tool. So yeah, but would have liked to see something different here, but you know, with the size of this update, probably you know, can't have literally everything. All right, goal for Chavez is very clear: reduce player frustration. Great. And give design leeway. Also great. We like to see design leeway so that they can make his weapons more different. All right, so what are they doing? Base weapon fire rate down, headshot damage down, damage fall off 20 meters, kind of meaningless number right now, but we'll see how that goes. All right, no longer a 6 shooter, now a 9 shooter. I'm assuming that means it's not got it has a mag of 9. It doesn't actually say that, but I'm assuming that's what that means. Like, sure, it's a funny way to say it. I guess that's what it means. I would have liked a really official looking, like they did here, bullets per mag 9, right? Like don't leave room for ambiguity here, I guess. Reload time up is interesting. I guess you have 9 shots though, so that's a lot of shots. I don't remember how much damage this weapon did. So nine's, can't tell you if nine's enough to kill someone or not. Kind of close range. Got it. Duke is no longer a 6-shooter, but now a 4-shot hand cannon. All right. So you only have 4 shots. Headshot damage from 80 to 60. Not necessarily going to matter too much. 2 headshots is still 120. Body shot, I think, is 40. So 40, 60 is 100. So it won't matter. I guess you can't body shot, headshot literally anyone at any HP. So yeah, that's probably a good change. Damage fall off 25 meters feels far. I don't know how often we take fights with out of 25 meter range, so that's probably what they're going for, really. All right, the passive 2, max overheal. Oh, this is nice. I like this. Max overheal down to only 25 bonus HP, but it takes longer to start decaying, so you don't have to micromanage it much, but it's not as good as it was. So hopefully, you know, they halved this, so hopefully they like doubled this, even though it was still kind of short. But I like that. All right, they put the expertise down here. So you're invulnerable for 5 seconds instead of 7. You're in your resistant field for 7 seconds out of 15. Probably fine. This is, no one uses this anyway, and it's not gonna make it any better. Maybe the turret meme we've done before is slightly worse now, but I don't think that was anyone's top build for Chavez anyway. This is probably good. Fights didn't really last 15 seconds, so there was basically never a reason not to hit the button because you were just in your field the whole time if you wanted to be. They still probably don't last like 7 seconds, but at least there's a chance the feud will end now. Return to sender from 3.5 seconds. Oh, I think we had that clocked at 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds. So just they kept it half of this, which makes sense. Again, same. This isn't going to make this better. I don't know if it's supposed to, but I guess it's technically a nerf. So they made it worse, but it was already kind of bad. So yeah, I guess that's that. It just made you live 3.5 seconds longer. Now it makes you live 2.5 seconds longer. All right, let's move on to Hans before I go off on the return to sender again. I'm sure we've all heard that conversation before. The nerfs to the slow effect and the recoil overall affect Hans. More specific changes to focus on is damage drop-off balancing. All right. Okay, here we go. Hip fire fall off 10 meters. ADS fall off 25 meters for 20 there. Other than that, it's the same. Okay, so it's a shotgun. You got to be up close and personal for the hip fire, and this 25 is kind of what we talked about for the Duke up here. Seems like, I'm gonna assume based on sort of the meter numbers I do kind of remember, most fights are within 25 meters, I'm gonna say, so that's probably fine. And then yeah, so use your shotgun like a shotgun, use your ADS like the slug it is. That's what I would have expected if they said they were adding damage fall off. This is exactly what I would have expected. Larson, damage fall off for Larson makes sure his weapon fits his closer range identity, and Larson's a close range character. Okay. All right. I mean, he does have pistols, I suppose. Damage fall off 15 meters, damage fall off 20 meters, and damage fall off at 15 meters for the shots, but notably the throw is unaffected. I'm assuming that's true for all of them, but it's only called out for here. It'd be weird if they made throw unaffected by damage fall off for one of his weapons. And no other lifestyle changes. It's hard to know if this is like, I could be like, well, I think one of his like passives, for example. I don't actually think it, but let's say I've thought one. It's hard to tell, you know, if a passive needs notice when we're doing. This is probably a big change to Larson's strength as a character, so it's hard to make changes to that at the same time. Like, this is probably going to change a lot more than we expect, so changing this sort of stuff at the same time as changing all the other stuff is probably really difficult to tell what's going to happen. So I don't really fault anyone for being like, we're only changing the weapons for a couple characters like these ones. So hopefully we see what happens. They adapt quickly. That's really what we're going for. Anyway, that was a weird spot for me to say that, but we're moving on to Madam. Mamba's Hunch ability to make it easier to understand for victims. Mamba's Hunch, I'm assuming, is, yep, the passive 3 there. Passive mod 2, as developers call it. Easier to understand for victims and give them tools to play around it. That is a great thing to tweak around, but you picked one of like a couple things you could have done to it, and I think some of them were kind of free. I know we just said I don't fault anyone for this, but I do fault people for this. This should be bigger. But they had a damage fall of 10 meters and 20. This feels weird. These two weapons historically have felt very neck and neck in terms of which one is best, and now it just feels like this one's a must pick because it just you can start fights from 10 meters further away meaningfully. Like, I don't understand why this is double what this is. I just don't. I used like, and they notably mentioned Larson had a close range identity and none of them are 10 meters. Like, I genuinely feel like this is a typo. It feels so weird to be like, yeah, Larson has a close range identity, so we're starting damage fall off at 15 meters. They don't mention anything about that for Madam, and it's like 10 meters, and this one's 20 meters. So like, everyone's just gonna use this one. It's I can tell you right now, it's the best one. It's not even close. And then this is sad at this point. Please buff Madam Weapon 3. It's the worst weapon in the whole game. Asterisk glitch only plays solos. So yeah. Okay, but what they do here, hopefully we get some good stuff here. Right. Rival players now get notification when Madam gets an update on their current position. Okay. Hopefully that's noticeable. I assume it is. There's now a minimum buffer between 2 triggers to prevent from getting 2 updates in a very short period of time, allowing precise pinpointing. This means the final vault terminal and the vault opening will only give a single ping. So between vault terminal 3 and the vault actually opening, there will only be 1 ping. Okay. So they just removed a ping, and if vault terminals are done in quick succession, then they'll have removed other ones, which is a good way for it to like adapt to that. And they now get a notification is good. Now you know you're gonna get shot from a random direction, I guess, but I guess that's not any worse than like a red has traced you because you got scolded. So I guess in that line of thinking, it's similar to the red scolding now, where you get told you're being traced by a red because you're being scolded, and now you're being told that a Madam can see you from across the map. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I know I like the direction they're going. It's a great direction. This notification thing is great. The minimum buffer thing is good. I think I still want more. We'll see how it plays, but I think I still want more. Octo, all right. I forgot these were in alphabetical order. I wondered why Octo was not last. Besides damage fall off adjustment is getting a tweak to his intel refund. Very high chance of refund on low intel was a bit much. All right, so notably does not affect any of Octo's intel projectiles. 20 meters, 10 meters, 10 meters. I want to see. All right, we're gonna cheat. We're gonna look ahead. What's 10 meters? Okay, so they really want these like full auto weapons in like 10-meter range, which like feels fine. Hang on, we're looking back. I guess yeah, the wyverns were 10 meters. I can't meaningfully say if I think 10 meters is too close because I currently don't really understand the range that is 10 meters, and I don't know if I ever really will without actually like practicing and like markers of some kind that I'm at the 11th meter. Anyway, Yeah, okay. But does not affect intel projectiles is good to know. Damage fall off of 20, 10, 10. Yeah, just damage fall off stuff. And the percent chance of getting intel when 10 away from your maximum went from 40 to 25. And the percent chance of getting intel refund from 20 away went from 65 to 50. So if you have, 20 max intel and you go to 0, you're gonna have a 50% chance of refunding, and 1 in 4. Okay. I didn't use this one a ton. I know some people swore by it and it was good, and now it's slightly worse. We'll see how it plays. I say slightly, but that's a big meaningful change. That one's that one's less big, I think. Actually, no, both 15, but it can't be used with the other passive because they're both passives. The one that gives you a ton of max intel. So yeah, probably a good change. Less generating free intel, and it's nice to see them play with the numbers like that. What's red? Red is a good example of a character that benefits quite a bit from the introduction of more pronounced damage drop off with her very distinctive weapon options. Basically, the reason I like red a lot is because she does have very distinctive options. Focus with red is to give her a clear identity and to make her options excel in different circumstances. All right, that kind of makes sense, and you don't really have to make them excel. They should just excel, although I guess that's kind of the same. Anyway, blaster fire rate to a base weapon, and yeah, they call this a more aggressive damage fall off range, but it's the same as all the other full auto weapons we've seen. I would expect that to be like 8 if it was more aggressive, but this is just what they've done the whole way down. But I mean, more aggressive than these ones, obviously. Well, this one, yeah, this clearly, they want their full auto weapons the same range as their shotguns, which is interesting. Anyway, more shots per second here is great. That weapon was a lot of people say nerfed a bit too hard. It probably was nerfed a bit too hard, so that's probably enough to push it back. Still unsure on 10 meters for damage fall off on full auto weapons. This one's more like a sniper long range carbine. 20 meters is what they've done the whole time. Seems fine. Fire rate down is good. This weapon was really strong. Damage fall off at 10 meters is what they've done for shotguns. Heart spray pattern back on ADS shots, but with tighter spread. So that'll be interesting to see. And I can't really speak to it, but assuming if you're ADS and you're gonna hit them all anyway, so it might just be a visual cool looking thing. But hopefully it's just, yeah. I'll leave that up to the real Red Weapon 3 experts. Oh, right, passives. With gouge generating passive heat on aggro, we visited the range of the knowledge spoon from being... Okay, so the tracing of scolded people, our red seeing rivals with heat is a half. That's probably good. And yeah, it used to be like really far. Like, I knew it wasn't map wide, but I thought it was just about. So the fact it's a lot less, actually 60 meters is only slightly longer than a Squire danger sense, and I know about how long that is, so that's not that far, but not that far. All right, probably a good change. Now if you get traced by red, you should probably expect red to be nearish instead of this red could be anywhere on the entire map. All right, so sorry, since projectile weapons are quite a challenge, so there's no damage fall off to projectiles. Got it. The story has a whole new element with taking 10 with, thanks to the addition of first aid. Right, because poison, first aid vials. So yeah, and I guess the sword swipe wouldn't have a damage fall off, or I guess technically already do at 0 of past like 3 meters. All right, anyway, this is the kunai's fire rate for a single uncharged kunai has been made faster. Interesting. So if you single shot kunais, you shoot them faster. Visual element to reticle negates clearly when the... Oh, that's nice. I mean, I used to do it based on audio cue, but I guess visual cue is good if you can't see him holding 5 kunais, but I guess knowing to look in one spot and it's obvious is great. I'm all for better clarity. Poison spies cannot use first aid vials. I mean, I'm glad they called that out, and yeah, I would have probably been like, why didn't they call it out? So I'm glad they called it out. It's expected, but at least we have the text. All right, Squire looks like he got a lot. Wow. In addition to damage fall off, we gave clear gameplay to use Squire's arsenal. We are positioning the Lance as a fast-firing balanced option, the Trident stronger close quarters burst option, and the Javelin long range option. We think these tweaks... All right, so I feel like this is what they've been trying to do the whole time. Less damage, but more fire rate and more mag. Notably, 15-meter range there. Here we are up close and personal. Your burst weapon, and yeah, the burst is faster and close range. This is basically what they said. Slightly less damage, less headshot damage, requires 3 headshots. That is actually a meaningful change because that changes it from 4 to 3 or 5 to get over 100 or 100 or more, I suppose. And slightly less fire rate, but you can use it from a lot further away. Yeah, I mean, I can't clearly see a winner here. My gut says that is gonna be really good. And while I have been mentioning the 10 meters on full auto weapons, 15 meters is probably like the normal range of a fight. And I mean, I keep complaining as if damage fall off starts at means they do no damage past this point, and that's obviously not true. So we'll see. But my gut says this is gonna be really strong. With the recoil changes, this gun might be really good. The problem with this was the recoil. So if they've smoothed it out really nicely, this could be really fun to play with. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that plays out. And this one looks like it was nerfed pretty hard, just that and that, and that slightly. So probably good. All right. Oh, what's our passive? Hitting a rival's 5. Oh, nice. That's nice. So not only does your speed passive work when you get hit, but also if you initiate the fight, you have a passive now, which is great. That's great. I really like that change. That's it. That's all I did for passives. Expertise, eyes on the prize, the base one. You can now see lost and found boxes, first aid vials, and vault printers on the list of detected items. Nice. So I mean, yeah, you still can't see the meta currencies, but all these things were like, well, these two are new, but it was sort of weird you couldn't find lost and found boxes. You, me, the weapons are unaffected by fall off because they're projectiles. Finding a fun twist on her underused EMP flock. Oh, that'll be nice. I'm now excited for this change. Trying out a new sticky projectile that you can place on spies and NPCs to create... Oh, okay, and then they killed it. Moving zones of denial. I don't like zones of denial. I don't like game design that says no really loudly, right? But let's read on. Added a visual element to all that indicates when the weapon... All right, that is great. I know I was talking before and so sorry to be like, can you not just see him holding 5 kunais? And I stand behind that, but sometimes the little shine effect on the marble was not clear enough. And again, I'm all for clarity, so this is great. Expertise, EMP flock. Projectiles now stick to NPCs or players directly hit by the bubble. Bubble applies the neutralize instead of slow. Oh, interesting. So are they different? Because they don't mention the other expertise. So then this one neutralizes, and the first one, like her base one, slows. Bubble still apply expose. Yeah. Preventing, yeah, so How long does it stick for? I guess just the length, the duration of the ability, which I don't know off the top of my head. But weird. Can I do something to unstick it? Like, can I spam crouch and make it unstick? Or do I just live in this field now? I hope it's not as loud as it used to be. I mean, I feel like half the time people expected it to neutralize instead of, well, not instead of slow, but instead of breaking gadgets maybe, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, you stick it to a Larson and they're neutralized. I like that she got a neutralize. I mean, I feel like that, I don't want to say an underused status effect, but I don't mind more people getting it. But I stand behind the saying no kind of sucks. Right? Saying you can't use your cool ability that you picked the character to play kind of sucks. So yeah, we'll move on from that. That's a whole probably game design discussion. I'm not gonna get into what. All right, what? All right, we're skipping this because this was called out specifically as it didn't do this. So the fact that this is listed here means that there was a previous patch where they said, maybe it wasn't the patch. No, I think it was a patch and not just like a developer comment or something. It was never supposed to. I'm confident in saying that this wasn't supposed to do this to begin with. So I guess I apologize to all turret users if you've been dealing with this. I'm glad it doesn't do that anymore. All right, now this is probably the thing everyone's been waiting to see. All right, how to pick up the shield. Interact time to pick up the deployed shield been raised to 2 seconds to prevent quick juggling of picking up and dropping the shield during the fight. All right, it takes you 2 seconds to pick up the shield now. But I don't know when they started to pick it up. So, but let's move on. Let's not judge yet. There's 4 points. Picking up the shield will now cancel ADS, preventing players from pre-charging shots from picking it up. I assume that's supposed to be while picking it up. Preventing players from pre-charging shots. They call out there's only 2 characters that charge. There's Yumi, well, I guess Sasori. Yumi, Sasori, and Ace. So they're definitely calling out a couple people specifically by saying pre-charging. But I do also appreciate they say pre-charging because that, you know, not everyone understands that the Yumi charge is actually the ADS. But it is. So, I mean, yeah, nice. And the deployed shield will now break instantly if its owner gets eliminated. I feel like that was a bug, but that's good. That's what all the other gadgets did. If you died, all your gadgets also died. Probably more important for teams than solos, but I guess if you're third party, you used to be able to kill someone who had their shield out and then use their shield in the third party. Deployed shield weak point now has aim assist, which is nice. And that's all I'm gonna say. It's nice. Hopefully the aim assist locks on properly, like because it's got to aim down and then back up. And anyway, yeah, this is nice. I mean, this is really nice. This is this basically is exactly a change I asked for specifically, so that's nice to see. This is nice. It takes you 2 seconds to pick up your shield. One thing I guess realized recently, I don't know if I've actually vocalized this anywhere, but I, as someone playing against the shield user, don't necessarily know when they started picking it up, so it doesn't really matter to me if it's 2 seconds or if it's like, you know, a second, because they get the little loading bar and know when it's done, and I get nothing, which maybe that's the point, and maybe with this change that's going to matter less. But oftentimes fighting, you know, juggling enemies, I gotta basically guess at when the shield's gonna disappear because I have no indication. But maybe this covers it. We'll see what happens here. I know a lot of people are looking for this change. This covers decently well deployed shield issues. Still have issues with the handheld shield. But this gets us further along, and we'll see what happens. But I kind of think we'll see a rise of handheld shield. I'm not going to read these bug fixes. There's a ton of them. Like a lot. There we go. So, wow. All right. This has been a pretty long video. I'm gonna scroll back up. Actually, we're gonna stop at the Red and Gilbert picture because that's a cool one. There was a lot. I'm pretty excited for this change. It's gonna be with the damage fall off. Again, we don't quite know the numbers on it, but like damage fall off, recoil changes, huge map changes for many of the maps. It's gonna be really, like, I don't want to say a whole new game, but definitely it's very different than it was. All right, quick jump cut again because I had to cut out a mistake I made. So they did announce what day the patch comes out. It is this Thursday, which should be the day after this video comes out. If I previously said in this video that it came out the day the video came out, that's because I screwed my days up, and it comes out the next day, Thursday the 29th. So don't know what time, but it'll be out then. And we'll be playing again. We'll have a stream going on the Friday after that, the next day. Might have a second one in the weekend if I can find time. Also, this was announced, I don't have exact times yet, but it's a free weekend for Deceive on all platforms, I believe. Definitely Steam, Xbox, PlayStation. I'm not 100% sure if it's free weekend on Epic, but if you're on PC, then it's free on Steam, so you can get it that way, or play it that way. I shouldn't say get it. So yeah, free weekend coming this weekend. Live stream for me on the Friday, patch on the Thursday. I'm going backwards now, and now I'm just rambling, so I'm gonna end this video. Make sure you comment on your favorite change, what you think is gonna happen, what are you excited for, what are you disappointed in. I'm sure I get a lot of those as well. But yeah, we're gonna have more Deceive content on the channel. I'm gonna be trying to go back to daily, and I hope to see you all there.